G'day humans, Chris Stead from Finder here. Today we're talking about famed developer, publisher, one-time console maker, SEGA. Now this video is part of a series of videos that I'm doing that's looking at the traditional AAA gaming scene and where each of the major publishers, developers and console manufacturers sit and stand when it comes to NFTs, the metaverse, blockchain and play-to-earn gaming. Now, I've got a whole series of articles on this as well, and I'll put those in the description. Links to the finder.com.au website. There's also obviously a bunch of videos on the channel itself that you can go and explore. But right now, let's talk about SEGA. Now, the name SEGA should be familiar to anyone with even a passing knowledge in the video games industry. SEGA is one of the OGs of video gaming. You know, their history dates right back to the 50s actually, but they're best probably known for the 5 major consoles and the Game Gear handheld that they released between the years 1982 and 2001. Master System, Mega Drive, Saturn, Dreamcast, you would have heard of these and more. They're also a massive player, of course, in the arcades. In fact, you still see Daytona USA in almost every single place you go to that has an arcade machine. That's the one it'll have. Virtua Fighter is another one it'll probably likely have there as well. Nowadays, they're best known for their IP. Sonic the Hedgehog is obviously the biggest, most well-known of the SEGA brands. They've also got Alex Kidd and Jet Set Radio and Golden Axe, Virtua Fighter, as I mentioned before. Yakuza, Crazy Taxi, Super Monkey Ball. The Stacks of Shinobi's another classic from them. So there's stacks and stacks of big name brands, big name IPs from gaming's legacy and history, which are owned by SEGA. Now it's true that they're not quite as impactful as they were in their 90s heyday now in the year 2022. However, thanks to the massive success of the Sonic the Hedgehog films in recent years, but also recent announcement that they're going to invest $1 billion Australian in a whole series of AAA blockbuster video games into the next 5 years, means that Sonic is back up on the rise and is still definitely a force with definitely a role to play in where video gaming goes. Compared to other players in the traditional gaming space, SEGA has been pretty rock solid with its thoughts and plans around NFTs since they first spoke about them. Now, the first announcement around its plans regarding NFTs in the blockchain happened back in April 2021. Now that's when the company released a statement saying it would start selling NFT, digital contents, and utilize blockchain technology. Shortly thereafter, SEGA partnered with a company called Double Jump Tokyo with plans of converting some of its legacy assets, so old music, old images and art, that type of thing, into NFTs that would then sell as collectibles to fans and gamers. Now that was supposed to come out in Q3 2021. As of June 2022, that still hasn't emerged. However, as I'll go into in a bit, they are still very much working together. So when those initial intentions were made clear in April 2021, the noise around NFTs really wasn't that loud yet, especially in the ears of traditional hardcore gamers. By November 2021, however, the noise around NFTs had really started to grow quite loud, and it was enough for Haruki Tsutomu, the CEO of SEGA, to come out and issue a statement further pointing to their desire to head into the NFT and blockchain gaming space. Now what he said was, we're considering mergers and acquisitions and investments in new areas such as NFTs. Now it was at this time that Tsutomu pledged the Australian $1 billion that I mentioned earlier towards basically meeting these needs or meeting these desires with the company. So that's a $1 billion world chest that he's putting in towards the idea of acquisitions and mergers towards, among other things, the NFT and blockchain space. However, that was in November 2021. In December 2021, the anger and the frustrations that the traditional gamers felt towards the NFT space became abundantly clear when Ubisoft released its Quartz NFT platform, and that blew up the internet quite considerably. And as a result, Tsutomu came out and made a further statement which kind of started to just distance the company a little bit from the way that I guess gamers were reacting to what might happen if the traditional gaming scene picked up NFTs in a big way. Now what he said was, in terms of an NFT, we would like to try out various experiments and we have already started many different studies and considerations, but nothing is decided at this point regarding play to earn. There have been many announcements about this already, but there are users who show negative reactions. We need to carefully assess many things such as how we can mitigate the negative elements, how much we can introduce within Japanese regulation, and what will be accepted by users. But if it is perceived as simple money making, I would like to make a decision not to proceed. Now around this time, most of the companies within the gaming scene who were willing to say anything at all about NFTs were taking a similar approach as they were trying to distance themselves from the fire that was lit after the release of Ubisoft Quartz. So we shouldn't be awfully surprised by this statement. And this is just not externally, but we're also seeing this type of thing happen internally with companies as well. And sure enough, in a management meeting, the CEO, CFO, and COO of SEGA released a statement to their employees, further kind of just laying down what the distancing themselves from any potential backlash from the staff. We need to carefully examine several things, including what will be accepted and what will not by users. Then, if this challenges our purpose of continuously creating, forever captivating, we will investigate it further. Now, as you no doubt picked up, saying we'll investigate it further is a long way from a hard no. It's not even a soft no. It's basically just saying, hey, if we try this and it doesn't quite work, we're just going to try it again in a different way. So they're definitely not backing down. And sure enough, in January 2022, the company released trademarked 2 logos, one for SEGA NFTs and one for a SEGA NFT collection. Now, I suspect this is probably to do with the previously mentioned Double Jump Tokyo partnership, where they're looking at taking some of their legacy art and music and product and creating collectibles and so forth out of that. So that's what that probably ties into. And certainly at the time, it was enough for the head of business development at Double Jump Tokyo, Tommy Brooks, to throw his hat into the ring with a couple of comments. Now, what he said was, for gamers, there's a split. Some think NFTs are great, understand the technology, and want ownership of virtual items they put their time into. The other side is saying that it is not good for the environment, but maybe they don't understand that there are different types of technologies. Which probably wasn't a good idea, because what he should have known by now is that saying that gamers don't understand NFTs, don't understand how the whole entire blockchain works, is a sure way to really piss them off. Now let's get into the interesting stuff, and this is around SEGA's super game concept. Now when this was first revealed, people were thinking, oh, what's this super game all about? And it's since been explained that the super game is actually an overarching concept which involves a number of AAA blockbuster games that are going to appear from SEGA over the next 5 or so years. The brands mentioned so far include Sonic, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Set Radio, and I'm sure there'll be more than that to come in the future. Now, they have said they're going to invest, as I said before, up to $1 billion Australian into this next phase of the SEGA brand. They've spoken about acquisitions, they've spoken about mergers, they've spoken about that being related to NFTs and blockchain. It's also going to tie into the development of these games, where they're not going to, part of that includes acquiring developers to make those games, could be a bit of what they're referring to. But some of the other commentary that we've seen around this has really pointed to this idea of a super game metaverse where all of the IP within the SEGA brand are going to exist within some sort of connected space. For example, Executive Vice President Shuji Utsumi said that these new releases will reach beyond the traditional framework of games and also reference the blockchain-driven Web3 future that we're heading into as part of what he means when he says that is beyond the framework of games. Now, the Web3 obviously is very, very much driven by blockchain and also cryptocurrency. Then there was more in April 2022. At that time, producer Masayoshi Kikuchi said, gaming has a history of expansion to the connection of various cultures and technologies. It's a natural extension for the future of gaming that it will expand to involve new areas such as cloud gaming and NFTs. We are also developing super game from the perspective of how far different games can be connected to each other. So this is April 2022, as I mentioned. So this is well after the Ubisoft Quartz things have gone down, well after that period where, you know, the NFT market had also dropped a little bit in, you know, that Q2 2022 period. So for SEGA to come out and make a statement that clear about their intents to really engage what blockchain technology can offer is a clear statement of intent to me, especially the last line, which suggests that the opportunity for a metaverse amongst these new games and a super game concept is what they're looking out for. But also there's a hint there to the interoperability offered by NFTs where, you know, objects or things owned in a specific game can actually play a role in other games as well. Now, adding fuel to this fire is back in November 2021, SEGA signed a deal or a partnership with Microsoft to use its Azure platform, which includes the Microsoft Azure blockchain ledger, or confidential blockchain ledger, sorry, it's called. So SEGA has access to that. You're starting to see the dots join up a little bit in favor of the theory that this is a metaverse which SEGA is looking to create, and one that's driven by blockchain technology and NFTs. So that brings us up to speed as of June 2022 with all the things that SEGA has done in its road towards the path of NFTs. Obviously, clearly where they stand on NFTs is that they see it as part of their future. There's been many references specifically indicating this as being the case, a desire to look at their legacy content in terms of NFTs and to use blockchain technology to drive games that are more connected and beyond the framework of what we've seen with games in the past. Now, how's this going to play out? I suspect we might actually see the NFT side of things appear in kind of that art and collectibles and music from SEGA's vast and long history of titles and involvement in the video games industry, which we have also seen other companies such as Konami, especially the Japanese developers, have definitely looked to capitalize on that legacy content with the NFTs. And then we might see the blockchain used in the creation of this super game metaverse. Now, we may not see the two of those necessarily exist together in the short-term future, considering what they've also said about making it work and it not being viewed as money-making, at least with their blockchain technology, how they might use the blockchain technology. So therefore, I think we may actually see a situation here where the NFTs and then the greater blockchain metaverse driven concept remain separate entities, at least in the near future, until people are more comfortable with what's going on. Now, you should definitely keep an eye on my article on the phone.com.au website, because I will be updating that in real time as more things happen in this space with SEGA. You should also check out my other articles for the other developers, publishers, and console makers, which I'm going through. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, because then you'll get updates when I release more videos about the AAAs as they explore this emerging space. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Stead from Finder, and until next time, happy gaming.